أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم اجعل ما نقوله ونفعله خالصا لوجهك الكريم. My dear beloved and respected brothers and sisters and elders, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها. وأعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بذكرى شهادة أمنا الزهراء سلام الله عليها. Before we continue with the topic, the series that we are intending to speak about the next few days, inshallah, this is a build-up until we reach on Sunday night the part where we speak about our responsibility, and then we will build the connection with As-Sayyidah Zahra Salamullahi alayha, and then on the last day it's purely the lesson from Sayyidah Zahra alayha salam. But I want to use these majalis, these opportunities, so that we can address what the Ahlulbayt alayhim salam wanted to address to us. Because some people ask, why don't we just mention the fada'il? Why don't we just speak about the personality, the birth, the age, the life? We can do this still, but we have rare opportunities where everyone is gathered, so we can tackle a few topics. In my opinion, they would want us to speak about more than just speaking about the personality itself. So this is why we're doing this series. This is why we're speaking about the worldview. This is why we're speaking about a few things that set things straight. Before I start, I want to remind myself and everyone here that this life is temporary, that we are visitors in this dunya, and that we will not take anything with us except for the good deeds we did in this world. So may Allah Azza wa Jal grant us the wisdom, the foresight to make the best and the most from this life, inshaAllah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Tonight's question is, why do I need a world view? The answer is, how do you live without a worldview? How do you set your priorities if you don't have a proper worldview? How do you know what's right and what's wrong? How do you know how you should spend your life, your time, your wealth? Because regardless of everything, everyone has a worldview. Even if you didn't intentionally build this worldview, every single one has a worldview. Influenced by who, influenced by what, we will discuss this. But you're not living without a worldview. You have a worldview built on your influence, your environment, your surrounding. But you need a worldview to know how to navigate in life, to know how to live this life. Because if somebody says, I don't need a worldview, then that's wrong. You definitely have one. You definitely have one, and you need one. Because we need to know why we live, why we are on this planet, where we came from, where we're going to go. The issue is, we don't give ourselves time to really think and reflect on these matters. Like I said yesterday in the lecture, sometimes we know things up here, but practically we live in a fully different way. We say we're Muslim, we pray, we fast, but practically our day-to-day life is just like Johnny and Alexander, right? This is our day-to-day life, our priorities. What do I want to do? How do I want to live? Where do I want to travel? Most of our day-to-day life is just like any non-believer type. So up here, we have something, but practically we live something else. But we need answers to these questions. We need to build a proper worldview from A to Z. Because it can't be true and real that when it comes to anything in life, we care about instructions, right? If you buy a closet, you're like, hold on 1 second, let me open the instructions. How do I start? Yalla, you organize everything and then you build it. But when it comes to religion, worldview, Islam, Allah, we're like, yalla, let's just gather some information. Let's go to the mosque. I listen to a lecture here, to a lecture there, maybe from 2 different schools, even though it's the same amama, but 2 different schools. And then the individual is confused. I don't understand this religion. Why? This doesn't make sense. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. People come and say, look, I heard 1, 2, 3, 4, and 99% of people, they start the sentence when they speak about religion. I heard one time. Ya khayi, where did you hear? Who said? In which book? Which lecture? Which source? I heard people say 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how we build our worldview. This is how we give our intellect, our brain, our aql, our nafs, our soul. Just, I build it just randomly when I have free time. When I go to the mosque once a month, twice, fourth, it depends. And then I have questions. I really don't understand life. I have challenges, struggles. So we need to understand, we need to build, we need to create a proper worldview. Because without a worldview, we just navigate in life and we're lost. Yani imagine with me, 8 billion people are living on Earth right now. If these 8 billion people, their priority in life is to survive, to make money, to have an income, to go out, to have nice food, enjoy their time, their weekends, and that's it. Right? That's it. It ends here. And imagine this has been happening for thousands of years. Aishuha al-hayat. What's this life about? Because every 100 years, it's refreshing. Rinse and repeat. Yani even the baby that's born today, in exactly 100 years from now, in the best cases, yani, it will not be on earth. Yani all these conflicts that are taking place now, America and Russia and Ukraine and China, and the oppressed people of Lebanon and Palestine and Sudan and everywhere in the world, and all these presidents and positions and weapons and military and so on and so forth, in exactly 100 years, if not less, none of us will be here. We'll all be gone. Now we think this is my mosque, my place, my car, my house, my money, my wealth, my building. Habibi, in 100 years, we're all under the ground. And there's a new population. Just like 100 years ago, we weren't here, somebody else was living on this planet. We will all be gone. So what's this life about? Why are we living? What's the purpose? What's the goal? What's the mission? We need to understand this. But you know what the issue is? You know what the problem is? We grew up and we were told what to do and how to be and how to set our priorities. And we were told what's important and what's not important. We were told how to dress, how to walk, how to speak, how to talk, what to study. So there's a quote I really like. It says, do you remember who you were before the world told you who to be? Because everything around you tells you how to be. Social media, school, some YouTuber, some influencer, they all tell you how to be and how to live. But what do you want? Deep inside, what do you want? Have you ever sat down with yourself and set your priorities? Have you ever thought about this? Or do we just go with the flow? I need to survive. I need to pay my bills. That's what life is about. And if we take it a step back, if we go back, if I ask you all, why did you go to school? Or why do you go to school? Why? People will answer something that the questioner would like to hear. For knowledge. I have a different opinion. No, we don't go to school for knowledge. You go to school because you have to go to school, because everyone else goes to school. If you were in love with knowledge, then knowledge wouldn't stop when you graduate. And that's it, right? And who reads a book in his free time? Who calls his friends and says, Yalla, let's read a book together. Let's discuss this information. The majority is not like that. But let's say you go to school to gain knowledge. Let's say. All right. So you go to school to gain knowledge. And then what? You gained knowledge, all right? Either you open a business or you go to uni. Let's say you went to university, okay, to study something. You studied, you graduated. Then what? You start working. Why do you work? Why do you go to work? To make money. Why do you need money? What's the aim? What's the goal? What's the purpose of money? So I can live. I want to eat. I want to drink. I want to get married. So you want to, excuse my wanna and gonna and this stuff. You want to make money so you can get married. This is the main goal, usually. All right, you get married. Alf Mabruk. You're married now. Why did you want to get married? You want love, affection, a family. You have a family. You have 2, 3 kids, 4. You have your family, you have your kids. And then what? What comes after this? Let's say you have a house, etc. Not important. What comes after this? I want to grow them. I want to raise them as good children. I want to see them grow up in front of me. Okay, and then what? You see them get married. Okay, amazing. You see your grandchildren. Amazing. And then what? You're 50, 55 now, 60. And then what? All of this for what? This is it? And it ends here? Or you spend the rest of your days just watching some Arabic series on TV? Or you just come to the mosque to see the brothers and have discussions and that's it? What did you achieve? What did you do? How did you spend your life? What did you do? Why were you living? Did you think it through? Did you fast forward your life? Well, you're just living in the moment now, thinking, I need to work and make money. I need to get married. All right, let's say you did all of this. And then what? Are you going to reach the age of 60 and look back, be happy and think, Alhamdulillah, I spent these 60 years wisely. When Allah Azza wa Jal asks me, I have an answer to provide? Or no? Are we just living in the moment, going with the flow, following the trends, killing our time? What's really happening? What's really going on? So, this is why tonight we're discussing the worldview, what types of worldviews we have. And this is only from a theoretical point of view, because tomorrow we will speak about the practical part and how we can practically build our worldview. And then from there, we take it to our responsibility. It's more practical, and then we finish off on Monday. So this is the plan, this is the route. Why do I need a worldview? To know how to live in this life, to set my priorities right. Because I will be asked about everything. طيب صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. طيب. Before we go into the topic of the worldview, there's one step before we speak about the worldview. So technically, before we speak about religion, we have to speak about the worldview. Before we speak about the worldview, usually there's a step that's called epistemology, نظرية المعرفة. If somebody wants to do it properly, from A to Z, the first A that one should start with is epistemology. Nadariyatul Ma'rifah. It's the science of knowing things and how we know things. This is usually the very first step. We're not going to do this tonight. This needs a course on its own. It needs a lecture series on its own. We have scholars that wrote about this topic. Alamat al-Taba'i wrote about this. Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, al-Shahid, wrote about this. So there's books written on epistemology. How do we know things? What's real? What's reality? And how do we perceive things? This is usually the first step. I just want to explain it briefly so you can understand what it speaks about, because it speaks about the sources of knowledge. How do I know things? I have my aql, I have my senses, I have al-shuhud, al-qalbi, right? And then I have al-wahi, these four sources. So either I know things through the wahi, through my senses, through my aql, or through, what did I say? No. I mentioned four. Aql, wahi, senses. We all forgot the fourth one. It's okay. It's on camera. طيب. So we have four sources of knowledge. طيب. Epistemology looks at all of them and sees which one has which field and if this knowledge has value or no. Okay, so for example, let's speak about the senses because it's the easiest one. We have the eye, we have the tongue, we have the nose, we have the ear. Let's just say only these, okay? Forget the other ones. Some say we have 5 senses, others say we have 7, others say we have 8. It's not important now. Let's say somebody comes and sees, or somebody comes and says, I deny the existence of the red color. Why? Because I never heard the red color. I never tasted the red color. So it doesn't exist. We tell them, hold on. You're using the wrong tool for ma'rifah, for knowledge. Who told you that the red color can be heard or tasted, or that you can smell the red color? You see the red color. You have to use the right tool. So this is a very basic example, but some people come and say, where's Allah? I can't see him. I want to hear him, right? We tell them, you will never be able to recognize Allah through the senses. It's only through the aql. Bil-aql, you know Allah Ta'ala. And bil-qalb, and bil-wahi. But the point is, you will never be able to see Allah Ta'ala. So the senses have their fields, and the aql has its own field. Because we're going to say when we speak about the philosophical worldview, al-aql la yudrik illa al-kulliyat. Al-aql is only capable of recognizing and knowing the generalities of things. Okay, I will explain this when we reach that point. So al-aql is limited to certain things, and the senses have their field, and al-qalb has its own field, and al-wahi is a different field. So we need to understand this. Because how can I trust my eye? Some people come and say, how do I really know that this color is red? Because maybe we all see it as red. There's a theory, it's called Nazariyat al-Ha'at al-Mushtarak, the common wall. Maybe we all see that this is red, but in reality it's not red. Because if you look at it from a dog's perspective, dogs don't see every single color. So for the dog has a reality and I have a reality. And maybe other creatures have other realities. So what's real and what's not real? How do I know what's waqi'an real? We have optic illusions, we have many things, right? So maybe we're just living an illusion. That's why Nazariyat al-Ma'rifah speaks about the sources of knowledge and ma'rifah and gives you value for things. So al-aql has this field, it can discover 1, 2, 3, 4. Your senses have another field, they can discover 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can start to speak about anything in life. So Nazariyatul Ma'rifah, epistemology, is the very first step of any knowledge technically. So if somebody wants to do it properly, they have to start with epistemology and Nazariyatul Ma'rifah. But we're not going to do this tonight. So I hope this is clear for now, so we can start to speak about the worldview, what the worldview is, and then dive into the three different types of worldviews. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad. When we speak about a world view, we don't mean by worldview that we are able to sense the universe. Even though view comes from vision, and vision is the job of the eye, we don't mean when we say worldview sensing the universe. Because humans can sense the universe and animals can sense the universe. And even some animals have stronger senses than us. An eagle has a way sharper vision than me and you. A rat has a very strong hearing, they say. Okay? So there's certain animals that have stronger senses. When we say worldview, we mean understanding the universe, understanding life, understanding everything around us. Or in a more accurate way, when we say worldview, we mean that I understand myself and everything outside of myself. Everything. Beyond planet Earth. Beyond the physical world. This is what we mean when we say worldview, and when we say I have a worldview and I understand the world, I understand life. This is the first point. The second point. What's a good criteria, or what's the needed criteria for a good world view? When we speak about this topic, this whole topic now, this is taken from Sheikh Mutahhari rahmatullah alayh. Sheikh Mutahhari has a small book, you can read it. It speaks about Al-Ru'ya Al-Kawniyya Al-Tawhidiyya. It's a tiny book, 100 pages approximately. So this is taken from this book. For anyone who wants to reread it in Arabic, it's available online as well. So Sheikh Mutahhari says there's two main criteria for a good worldview. Number one is it has to be holistic. It has to be a worldview that can answer all your questions, the essential questions. This is number one. Number two, it has to be built on certainty and yaqeen. Has to be reliable. Once you have these two, then you're good. Actually, sorry, there's a third one. It has to give life meaning. It has to give life meaning. A worldview that doesn't give your life meaning is not a good worldview. These three criteria. Okay? If we want to speak now about the types of worldviews we have, we can say that we could build our worldview from three different sources. The first one is science. The second one is philosophy. And the third one is religion. So if we base it on science, we have a scientific worldview. If we base it on philosophy, we have a philosophical worldview. If we base it on religion, it's a religious worldview. I will go through them point after point so we can understand each one, which field it has, and why it's not good to build your worldview on science or philosophy. And then of course, we're going to conclude with the religious worldview, but just to understand the fields and aspects of it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The scientific worldview is based on two main factors. Hypothesis, did I say it right? And experiment. Or thesis and experiment. It's easier. So a hypothesis, Hypothese in German, just to be on the safe side, okay, is something that you have an assumption about how something works, how something is, and then you make an experiment to prove whether your assumption is true or not. And I think this is clear to everyone. The point about science is that science is limited. Science is limited to what can be taken into the laboratory. Everything you can take into the laboratory, you can experiment. You can make an experiment on, and then the result is very accurate, detailed. Science is able to tell you, write you a book of 1,000 pages about a single leaf. Okay, single paper. Leaf ورقة الشجر. طيب. Science can be very accurate, very detailed, but it is limited to what can be experimented and taken into the laboratory. Everything outside of this, science says, this is my limit. This is where it ends. So science is accurate, is detailed, is good, but it cannot answer anything outside of the physical and reachable things that it can actually experiment. So we say the scientific worldview has its own room, it's good in its own field, but it doesn't serve as a worldview base or foundation where I can say, I'm going to build my worldview on this, simply because of the limitations it has. It can't answer the question, where did I come from? It can't answer the question, is there a God? It can't answer the question, what happens after death, after this life? Is there a life after death? The main questions we need to know, min ayn, fi ayn, ila ayn, from where, in what, and to where, science can't provide an answer. Science will not be able to give you an answer because it's limited to the physical aspects. طيب. Another point is that whatever is based on science is not certain. It doesn't give you certainty. It's just a thesis. It's just something they came up with, and for now it's a fact. For this time and age, it's a fact. But it might change in 10 years, in 20 years, in 50 years. You can't build a worldview on something that's not reliable, that could change. For years, they thought the smallest thing in existence is the atom. And then they discovered that there's molecules and protons, neutrons, whatever, inside the atom. So they discovered that no, we were wrong for so many years. There are smaller parts inside the atom. And then we have quantum physics and whatever else we have now. So science is not reliable. Science is limited. That's why you cannot say, I want to build my worldview based on science. We're not saying it has no value. It has value in its field. But it's not a foundation on which you can build your worldview and say, I want to understand life. I want to set my priorities based on science. We respect science, but science is limited. It has its own field. This is number one. So in other words, Sheikh Mutahhari says that science is like the flashlight in the darkness, in the endless darkness. The light is limited, it shows you just a little bit of the full reality. And then he gives an example about Tehran. He says, to summarize the scientific worldview and how it could be envisioned maybe through this example. He says, if somebody knows Tehran very well, he knows the streets, he knows certain areas, and he knows like how to navigate in the city and every wall and its color and what is in each street, then that's good. But he doesn't understand Tehran as a city. Like if we were to ask this person, what's the shape of Tehran? Is it a circle or not? He wouldn't be able to answer because he doesn't see the full image. He doesn't see the whole city. He knows the details of Tehran, but he doesn't know, is it a big city, a small city? Where is it located? In the north, in the south? He doesn't know. He just knows the streets, some streets of Tehran. That's it. But he doesn't see the full image. He doesn't know the whole thing. So science is this. We say, as a conclusion, quickly, that the scientific worldview is not a worldview that answers the questions. It doesn't fulfill the criteria of a worldview that we want to build our life on. طيب. Then we have the philosophical worldview. Falsafa. Falsafa gives you the top view, the upper view, the bird eye view. It shows you everything from the top. Because philosophy uses mainly al-aql, the intellect, logic. With philosophy, you can answer the main questions. Philosophy, the strong point of philosophy is that it's based on self-evident truths. Burhan, yaqeen, it gives you certainty. If you prove something in philosophy, then you have burhan khas, which means in Arabic, ضرورة ثبوت واستحالة انفكاك. Yani you can have your aqidah built on it because it's yaqeen, it's certainty. So philosophy gives you certainty. Philosophy answers the main questions. Where did I come from? Where am I going? What is this life about? However, philosophy has a limitation too. Philosophy is limited because it uses the aql and the intellect, and al-aql and the intellect, like I mentioned previously, لا يدرك إلا الكليات, generalities. Which means, in other words, al-aql or philosophy is able to give you answers, but it gives you answers to the kulliyat. Yani it tells you a God exists. It tells you his general attributes. It gives you answers to this. It tells you that there must be a messenger. Philosophy tells you there has to be life after death. Philosophy answers all of this, but in a general way. It tells you there has to be a reward and punishment. It tells you Allah is just. But if you ask philosophy and your aql, how is the punishment in the grave? Philosophy will say, I don't have an answer. I don't know. What is the reward exactly in the akhirah? Philosophy says, I don't know. So when it comes to details, philosophy has its limit because the aql, it's not his space to know these things. And that's why it's important that we have a look into these different types of worldviews or tools to understand the limitations of each one. You will never be able to prove with the aql that somebody will have this punishment in hellfire. Never. So the aql tells you there is punishment. That's it. It ends here. Aql tells you Allah exists, and it ends here. Tells you he has good attributes. He is kamal, but it ends here. How does he do things? When? How? The details, aql doesn't have answers to. Okay? So the philosophical worldview, the one based on philosophy, does give you answers. It serves the purpose, and you could build a worldview based on philosophy. It works. But then we speak about the religious worldview. The religious worldview, according to Shahid Mutahari, could be a daughter of the philosophical worldview. It could be a part of the philosophical worldview because they're both based on aql. They both give you answers to the main questions. They both serve as a foundation to build your worldview on. However, there's one main difference between the philosophical worldview and the religious worldview. The main difference between the philosophical worldview and the religious worldview is that the religious worldview is sacred, is holy, because you have an additional aspect which is al-wahy, revelation. This aspect gives religion sacredness and holiness. So you have a worldview that has yaqeen, that has certainty and yaqeen, that gives you the answers to the main questions in life, plus you have the sacredness and holiness that you rely on. Hala, of course, if somebody is taking it a step further, we say that before we take the religion and implement it into creating a worldview, I have to prove that this religion is haqq, that this religion is truth, like we spoke about yesterday, right? Everyone claims that this is a religion and this is a religion. So you do this with your aql, but once you have it proven that this religion is haqq and truth, then you take everything from that religion to build your worldview. And everything has its own field. For this is the religious worldview. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. So to come to the end and conclude this topic, we say A worldview, technically, you need a worldview to know how to navigate in life and to know how to live life. A worldview is your understanding of yourself and everything around you, to know how to treat your surrounding, your family, your friends, how to set your priorities, like we spoke in the beginning. And we have three different types of worldview. The scientific worldview, which is good, it's detailed, it gives you concise and precise information about things. However, it's limited to what can be taken to the laboratory, and it doesn't give you certainty, it's not facts, except for rare cases. Then we have the philosophical, which serves as a foundation. It answers the main questions. It's built on logic and aql and intellect, and it gives you certainty. But we take the religious one because it has an additional factor, which is al-wahi and revelation, which gives it sacredness and holiness. Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He's the all-knowing. He made the human being, this planet Earth. He has the catalog, okay? Like the Sayyid used to say. He has the catalog of the book of the human being, of this planet, on how to navigate on this earth. He's the programmer of this planet. And he put the rules, he put the sunan, he put the laws and everything else. So inshallah, tomorrow we will be discussing how I can build a worldview. What are the practical steps? We will speak about 5 steps on how to build a worldview so we can go and do this. Because in theory, we speak about things, but people come and they struggle. How can I be a better Muslim? How can I be a proper Muslim? How can I get closer to Allah? How can I serve the Imam? How can I give something back? Inshallah, tomorrow I have 5 points prepared that we will speak about one after one, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.